afterward. All right, guys, so what we're doing today is lesson 4, which is over percentages. Now, the first entrance ticket was asking, what is 125% of 20? Well, 125%, should we expect the number that we get to be bigger or smaller than 20? Bigger, because 100% would be exactly 20. 125% is going to be bigger, a quarter bigger. Now, if we wanted to work this out, well, we would take 20 and multiply it by what? 1.25, because if we turn 125% into a decimal, we move the decimal 2 places to the left and get 1.25. And if we do 20 times 1.25, we get it should be 25, yes. 25. So the correct answer is B, and we can just type that in. I see what it's doing. Liam ate at a restaurant and his final bill was $30. If he wants to leave the waitress a 15% tip, how much will the tip be? So what will the tip be? 4.5, because we can take 30 and multiply it by what? 0.15. And if we multiply it by 0.15, we get 4.5. And that'd be our answer. Now, if I wanted to know what the total with the tip would be, we wouldn't do 30 times 1.5. What would we do? 30 times 1.15. Because 1% or 1 would be the total itself, yes? And if we add the 0.15 to it, it would be the tip plus 1.5, which would give us 44.5. Or we could just find the tip and add it back to the total. Each of the 500 people in a random sample of the 4,000 students who attend a local community college were asked to name the method they often use to get to the school from home. All 500 people answered the question. The answers were tallied, and the percentage of people who walk, drive, ride a bike, and take a bus are shown in the diagram below. Because this was a random sample, the percentages in the sample are most likely the estimates for the corresponding percentages among all students in the school. What estimate does this give for the number of people who commonly get to school only by bus? Well, what percentage got to school by bus? So we're looking at 15%, or 0.15. Now, what are we multiplying by 0.15? What estimate does this give for the number of people who can commonly get to school only by bus?
Each of the
500 were sampled.
Only 500 of those 4,000 were.
So the correct answer is 600, because it used the 500 to give us the percentage, but it wanted the number of people, the total that was used. It's wanting the total number. The 500 gives us a rough idea of how many it should be, and we use that to find out how many we think should be riding the bus. Because they want it for all. Because the 500 is just a random sample of the group. We wanted the whole group. Because I think even if it is of the 500, it would be 75, but that would not be the one they wanted. But they did include that as a correct answer, because they knew that would most likely happen. Questions on this here? Okay, determining percentages in this here. What is a percentage and what does it represent? It's a ratio expressing parts per whole out of 100. To convert from percentage to decimal, we can just move the decimal place 2 places to the left and remove the percentage sign. To convert from a decimal to percentage, we move it 2 spaces to the right and add a percentage sign. Well, if we want to convert a decimal or a percentage to a fraction, well, we could do this, or really I could say 0.6 fraction to decimal, because on the graphing calculators, if we go alpha y equals the fourth one down, we'll do that. The yellow calculators, because that little button above the enter sign that has 2 arrows pointing in either direction, if you do 0.6 and hit that, it should convert it from a fraction to a decimal or decimal to a fraction. Yes? For those of you who tried it out, it gives you that, yes? So we can go over this, but heck, if technology does it, why? Especially on this test where time is everything. Convert from a fraction to a percentage, well, just divide the numbers, decimal percentage. What is 10% of 50? 5, because what are we doing? 10% is 0.1 times 50. We're moving the decimal 1 spot to the right. What is 30% of 100? Well, again, we're moving the decimal 2 places to the right. Oh, need to move that down just a little bit out of the way. The last one, what is 85% of 15? So we do 15 times 0.85 to be able to get this answer here. And we would get 12.75. Any questions on this here? Okay. Now I already just jumped through, because what is x? Is our equals. Of is this here, this dot is our multiplication, and percent is part over the whole. Part over the whole, or part over 100. And I think for the most part we feel comfortable with these here. Okay. They decided to be funny. A saga of love and tragedy. This is the story of one wealthy feline's disillusionment with little limitless chicken, yarn, and catnip. The Great Gatsby is on sale for 38% off the original price. What is 38% of $17.99? So what would we do? To a decimal. We multiply 0.38 by 17.99 and get 6.84. Mm-hmm. Percent? Yeah, because you could say 38%. So on the yellow calculators, it'd be possible to find it on the graphing calculators. Hit stat for me, Ian. Yep. Calculate. No. second quit, second catalog, second 0. And press up. Yep, keep going up. Yep, it's going to be in there somewhere, but it's... So the graphing calculator is going to be a lot easier. Yeah, you can just quit out of that. To just convert it to a decimal. Some of the yellow calculators or the TI-30X2S, you can do the percentage. Because second open parentheses has percentage. And we get 6.84. Yes. I just rounded it up, and if we wanted to know the actual price, we could take 17.99 and subtract from it 6.84. No, I think it's just asking for what is this here. Because if we wanted to know, it would be $11.15. Everybody find that funny, Cat, the Great Gatsby? Okay. The Adventures of Huckleberry Trim. Tom and Huck decide to leave the river life behind and clean up their act, beginning with a good haircut. The Adventures of Huckleberry Trim is on sale for 45% off the original price. What is 45% of $8.99? So we would do 0.45 times 4.05, yes? The Adventures of Huckleberry Trim. Questions on this here? Oh, wrong direction. Oh. The next one we have is Lord of the Pies. A group of young boys find themselves stranded on an island with no grown-ups, and an unbridled feast of pies commences. The Lord of the Pies is on sale for 4% off the original price. What is 4% of 10.65? Yep. You're not getting much of a discount for this year. I don't know why it traced that. 43 cents. Any questions on this here? We get the reference, right? And especially the next one, the scarlet pepper. One red pepper's bad decision leaves him shamed and ostracized from his pepper patch for life. The scarlet pepper is on sale for 47% off the original price. What is 47% of $27.99? Well, again, we're going to take 47. So 47% of $27.99 is $13.16. And really, if you're ever wondering, especially on the ACT with rounding, they're going to essentially give you 13.16. They're not going to give you 13.15 and 13.16 as two different answer choices. Either you'll see 13.16 or 13.15 and then other numbers. They're not going to do that. Any other questions on this here? All right, let's see if y'all get the last reference. A Midsummer's Night Gleam. A sweaty knight finds his armor too warm for the heat. A Midsummer Night's Gleam is on sale for 40% off the original price. What is 40% of 15? Because we can do 0.4 times 15 and get exactly. You all know what the reference is for this one here? It's A Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare. That one's one of the more obscure out of the 5. Well, depending on who you've gone to school with. Yeah. All right. We're going to delve in some more examples of this here, because I don't think it's going to take 2 days for us to cover this. I feel most of y'all feel pretty comfortable with percentages. Yes, for the most part. Yes. Let's look at this one here. The college sorority Delta Sigma Pi needs to elect a new president. All 80 of the Delta Sigma Pi sisters voted for one of the 4 candidates that ran for office. The results are given in the table below. What percentage of the Delta Sigma Pi sisters voted for the winner, Chelsea? Well, how many voted for Chelsea? 34, yes? How many total voted? 80, it told us 80, yes? So if I want to find the percentage, we're doing what? 34 over 80. So if we plug that in, we should get, I think it should say probably just 0.425, continuing on, or 42 and
0.425.
which is close to 42.5. So the correct answer is E. And that's it. Elizabeth bought a meal that cost $12. She tipped the waiter 25% of that amount. How much was the tip? So how would we do this?
I is 3 times more.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we could do it this way, put 0.25 times 12 and get 3, yes? Well, 25% is the same as what as a fraction? 1/4, yes? So we can say 1/4 times 12, which is just 12 divided by, which is 3. Now the fraction might work nicely because here 25%, 1/4, kind of easy to switch between the two, and it works out 12 is divisible by 4. It might not always work out that way. So sometimes instead of just trying to think through that, we can just say 0.25 times 12, put it in the calculator, hit enter, done, move on. Penny took a poll to find out her classmates, That might be helpful. 60. Provide the answers. What percentage of her classmates chose pepperoni as their favorite pizza topping? So how many chose pepperoni? Over the total. So we'll need to add 22, 11, 19. Oh, peppers, yes. I can't read. So it should be 8. Now on bottom, we need to add all of these together. What would all these add up to be? Well, they told us up here, didn't they? So we just need to do 80, or 8 divided by 60. 13 1/3. So if we did this here, it would be 8 divided by 60, which is 13 1/3. They're doing times 100 to really convert it to a percentage. Well, we can see, hopefully we can see that 0.1333333 is 13.3 or 13 1/3 percentage. Questions on this here? All right. Mouse. I'm going to go on and let's look at the practice problems. Let's look at the practice problems because I feel that y'all feel pretty comfortable with these here. They're not too much different than what we've done. So we're looking at number 2 first. So we're going to look at the few example problems I want to look at. If 120% of a number is 720, what is 50% of that same number? So what is this saying? 120%. So we're saying 1.2 of a number. Do we know what that number is? X is 720. So these here, there will be something like this where we have to solve. So what do we need to do? We need to divide both sides by 1.2. So 600 times 1.2 will give us 720. So the answer is 600, yes? Yep, 120% as a decimal would be 1.2. Well, that's just what that is here, but it didn't ask for what? What is 50% of that same number? So it's doing this, what? 600 times 0.5, which is? So this here did have a few other steps. One, we had to go backwards to figure out what our original number was, and then we had to multiply by 0.5. Questions on this here? Let's look at the next problem we're going to look at. That's number 8. We're jumping to number 8. Because I picked certain problems out in particular. Of the 80 spaces in the XYZ Industries parking lot, 5% of them are reserved for handicap parking. Of the non-handicapped spaces, 16 are reserved for company VIPs. How many spaces are not reserved for handicap parking and available for non-VIP employees? So we have 80 total, yes? Well, I do know that we're going to have to subtract 16 for sure. Is 64, so I know 76 and 70 are not going to work. Will 64 work? Because we still have 5% that are for handicap, so there's going to be less than that already, yes? Have I calculated anything yet? What are our choices left? 60 and 56. So even if I didn't do anything else, I've got a 50-50 shot of guessing it right. Now, let's figure out how many handicap parking spots there are. Well, I need to do what? Take 80 and multiply by what? 0.05 or 0.05. And what is 80 times 0.05? So 4 of those spots are handicapped. So we already said 80 minus 16 is, and we need to take away the 4 handicap spots, which gives us 60. So the non-VIP and non-handicap spots are 60. So 60 spots. Questions on this here? All right. The next one is number 9. So I'm going to look at it with you all. Patrick and Cheryl dined at a restaurant and their bill was $42.68. They would like to leave a tip of approximately 16% of their bill. Which of the following is the closest to the amount? Well, what? We would take 42.68 and multiply it by what? 0.16 or 0.16. And we would get 6.82 or 0.83. So really the closest one is B. So they're not going to put any that are 0.682 and 0.683. They're not going to put both of those up there. They'll put one. Questions on this here? We ready for the next one? Number 10. We're going to do 2 more after this. The pie chart below shows a sports organization makes or how a sports organization makes its profit. Last year, the team made $2 million in profit. And this year, it increased its profit to $2.5 million. How much money was made on food sales in both years? Well, how much is percentage for food sales? 40%. So we're going to do what? 0.4 times what? 2 million. And 0.4 times 2 million is? $800,000. So what's the correct answer? We're not done yet. We also need 0.4 times 2.5 million. And I think this is 1 million. So if we add those together, we get 1,800,000. Because if it was asking for 1 year in particular, we would use it. But here, since it's asking for both, we're going to use both. And it also says how much money was made on food sales in both years. While watching television from 8 to 9, one morning, Kira notices that each commercial break is composed of 3 commercials that are each 40 seconds long. And there are a total of 4 commercial breaks during that time. To the nearest percentage, what percent of the hour was taken up by commercial breaks? So what do we know? Each one is composed of 3 commercials that are, well, okay, so 3 times 40 is 120. So that's for what? How many do we have? 4. So we can do 4 times 120, which is seconds. So we have 480 seconds, yes? Now, how long was the total amount of time she was observing for this? 1 hour. Now, I need to either convert the 480 seconds to hours or convert the hours to seconds. How many minutes are in an hour? How many seconds are in 60 minutes? So there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, yes? How many do I have? So we would need to do 60 times 60, which would be? So we'd say 480 over 3,600 minutes. So here the big thing was not so much, was a little bit of the unit conversions, making sure we're talking about the same thing. Any questions on this here? Last one we'll look at together. Brent has a diagram. Yes. Brent has a diagram that he needs to place into a report. It's only 3.5 inches tall and 4 inches wide, but it needs to be about twice as big to make the impact he wants. Brent has use of a photocopy machine that he can enlarge the height and width of an image by 20%. If he repeatedly uses the machine to enlarge each sequential image, what is the minimum number of times he will have to make a copy to get the image to be at least 7 inches tall? So it starts out at how tall? And how big can it increase each time? So we can do 3.5 times what? 0.2 or 0.2, yes? What's 3.5 times 0.2? Well, let's do 1.2. Because it would be 0.7, yes? So I'll write that out here and I'll show you why we want to do it the other way. Because it'd be 0.7, yes? Then I'm going to have to do what? 3.5 plus 0.7. Well, that'll be 4.2, yes? What happened when you did 3.5 times 1.2? 1.2, it did it for us. It already added it back in. Any questions on that there? So instead of doing this, we could say 1.2 because I know it's getting bigger, yes? So this gave us 4.2. Well, did that get to where we wanted? Now in the calculator, I would hit times 1.2. Because if you hit the multiplication button without typing anything in, it says A and S, yes? So it's going to take the previous answer. Well, what was the previous answer? Or 4.2, yes? Because if you did 3.5 times 1.2, it gave you 4.2. And if you hit times, it gives you A and S, grabbing the previous answer, which is 4.2, yes? And if you hit enter again, we get 5 point what? Yes? Well, that's not it. Hit multiplication, 1.2, and let's do it again. Is that what we wanted? No. Do it again. Is that what we wanted? How many times did we have to do it? 4 times. Because especially if we know we're getting it bigger or it's increasing, we can do 1 point, whatever that percentage of increase is. That way we're not having to multiply it, add it back, multiply it, add it back, doing that multiple times. Questions on this here? So that is it for today. Homework starts on our section 4.41, and it will be problems 1, 3, 6, 7, 11, and 14. You have those problems to do.